Alright everyone, it's time for more idiocy from CNN because there's nothing else that you can call it. It's stupidity, it's ineptitude, everything bad under the sun. That exemplifies what CNN has become over time. Kirsten Powers comes out with CNN and says, people who are saying mean things, more racism, more sexism, shouldn't be anonymous online. They should face repercussions. Oh, really? As though CNN was the one to impart justice upon anybody in the world, like anybody would trust your moral scruples to do so. Bullcrap. Then Filipovic comes out, does a blog write-up about trolling online, right? Talks about how she's being harassed constantly. They called me a bitch, and they did mean things to me. This has nothing to do with the fact that you're a female who happens to be on CNN. It has to do simply with the fact that you're on CNN largely at this point. And prior to that, it has to do with welcome to the internet. People are less nice than they are on cable news here. It's more hard-hitting and it's more real. Here's the thing, and I've said this for years. You go on an anonymous forum, you find out how people generally really feel. You're getting 99% truth and 1% satire on an anonymous forum. You're getting 99% lies and maybe a kernel of truth if you listen to the legacy media. So like, if you ever notice, people are debating each other in the legacy media. And this includes people who are like way out there. Like, Ann Coulter versus Michael Moore. And they might get into a shouting match, but they don't start slugging each other. They don't start calling each other bitch or something like that, saying, oh, go to hell, you piece of shit, stuff like that. That's what they really want to say. But they can't because they're on cable news or public radio or something like that. It's not real. It's not how they really feel. They have to hold back. They have to mince words. You don't have to do that now on the internet, do you? Now, what you get on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, places like that, the more tame side of the internet, is you get a little bit of harassment, you get some trolling, you certainly get a lot of shitposting. People even there, though, they still hold back a bit if they're personally identifiable. But you go to an anonymous forum, you get basically the truth and nothing but the truth. And I can tell you what the world believes in. Based on simply going to 4chan, a lot of people would say, oh, that's not a random sampling. That's specifically people who lean way far right and they're like, Nazis. No, not even remotely. It's a random sampling of the younger population. The average user there is younger than the general population for almost any country that's able to connect to a site like 4chan. You'd think that'd mean they'd be more progressive, but instead they all seem to be shouting Nazi slogans, or they're talking about libertarianism or some of these other fringe ideologies. But that's the way people in general really feel. The older generation, they feel even more like that. Here's the thing. People assume that there's sampling bias on a site like that. I ascribe it simply to the fact that there are no repercussions for what they're saying. That's what people really believe. See, CNN hates this. CNN wants an echo chamber because they want to convince you that their conception of the world is popular and that all this other stuff is fringe and needs to be suppressed. In reality, it's the flip side. CNN's version of reality is unpopular. People just don't point that out in polite company. How many people do you know in your private life, your family, your friends, your church, your business, where you work, whatever? How many people do you know that won't even talk about politics at all? Why do you think they don't want to talk about it? Number one, because they just don't have the time. They're just not inclined. They don't want to have to explain themselves. They don't want a seasoned debate in person. They're there to do other things. They want to be left alone. They're going to go do that online. Number two, because their beliefs are probably a little bit more out there, so-called, than you would think. Yeah, that person who proclaims himself, oh yeah, I'm like a moderate Republican. Oh yeah, I'm like a moderate Democrat or something. Probably not. They're probably on a libertarian fringe, or they're a fascist or something like that, or they invoke communism. Something, but they're not going to say that to you. They're not going to talk about that in person. They might join some dedicated group where they wear a mask to hide their identity that way or something like that. Otherwise, they're not going to talk about it, really. It's like, why do you think the alt-right supposedly has like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in the US alone that are sort of aligned with this movement, yet they have a rally? There's like, 50, 100 people that show up. Why do you think that is? It's because a lot of people won't show up for the rally because they don't want to get rocks thrown at them. And this exemplifies modern politics. People are getting more violent in real life, so they go online and they talk about things there. By the way, there's nothing wrong with this. Some people would say, oh, look at these cowardly fascists, haha, they'd never show up for the rally, it's like 10 people, they can only talk a big game online. Yeah, they don't want physical violence because they're not violent individuals. You've cast them off as violent individuals, and suppressing free speech, by the way, is a great way to make violence erupt. It's a great way to cause violence. I look at my comments area with all the accounts there, most of which these people don't give their true identity. It's not their real name. It's not a picture of them. They don't have any videos uploaded. And they talk about how great Mao was or how great Hitler was or something. And I'm not going to make any attempt to suppress them, no matter how objectionable I may find what some of them say. Because I believe in catharsis. I think violent video games are a good thing for the world. I think that hate speech is better than the alternative, which is hateful actions. So I don't care. But CNN doesn't take up that line. They want everything to be personally identifiable so that anyone who criticizes them can be browbeaten. And so that they can extend their echo chamber online, dumb down commentary so that everyone just talks about boring shit all the time like they do on cable news and on public radio. So that they can skew people's perception of what reality is. It's a way of controlling your mind. Because it gives you a huge sampling bias. Because then, when you've determined that certain ideologies or beliefs are too fringe to be expressed, and there's no way to express them without repercussions, you can engineer society so that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because even though people will largely disagree with you, they won't organize or talk about the fact that they disagree with you. USSR-style tactic. CNN has taken up the tactics of the USSR, and people don't even largely realize this. It's straight propaganda. But I'd rather people be able to speak freely. Yeah, including people who I totally disagree with. Somebody's saying, oh, fire up the ovens. Or they're saying, oh, because Stalin was great, he did nothing wrong. So, that's their opinion. Let them have it. I don't care. And as for Filipovic, talking about being trolled. Oh, they called me a bitch and stuff. You think that I don't get trolled and harassed? Or anybody else? It's called the internet. Things aren't so tame here as they are on your cable network. If you don't like that fact, get rid of your Twitter, get rid of your YouTube page, don't be online. Or go to site, block everybody. Be very tame, be very pro-censorship. You can do that. You can block people on Twitter, you can block them on YouTube and Facebook. Who cares? It's not like any of these people are actually going to carry through with the threats that they're making. Have they so far? I get threatened all the time. For years now, I've had people threaten my life. Nobody's ever actually come and tried to kill me. It's probably not going to happen. It's called, you can talk the talk, but you're not going to walk the walk. People know better. You'd have to be a psycho to actually come after somebody. Most of these people aren't psycho. They're just trolling. They're just shitposting. Who gives a hell? That's my point about it anyway. But yeah, when people are anonymous, they talk totally differently. And it's not because, oh, they're all just trolling. Yeah, they don't really mean, when they say that they like Oswald Mosley, they're just lying to you. They're just role-playing. When they say that they're a tanky and that they really love communist ideology and the Soviet army and stuff, oh, they're just joking. It's just a little bit of LARPing or something. No, it's actually what they really believe in. Yeah, it really is. But the cable news doesn't want you to know that. It doesn't want the soccer moms and the mom and pop people, the normies in society, to realize how unpopular their model of convention really is. They don't want them to concern themselves with that, because if they realize that, they may adopt those ideologies. Which means they're not going to be listening to CNN, because they have to operate under an FCC license. They can't say the sort of things that are actually popular to say these days. Online and places like that. Somebody like myself, I go on, I feel like I'm totally tame. Because all I talk about is, yeah, I support liberty. I don't care if people smoke dope. I don't care if they get a gay marriage. And I really like, you know, guns are great. Well, that's pretty tame. That's closer to like the average conservative ideology. The thing is, if I had fringe beliefs, I'd be empowered to talk about them. And I'd be honest about the fact that I had them. And I do. I believe, unironically, I don't think late-term abortion should be banned. There are a lot of people who have a problem with this. But the thing is, I don't have to worry about some religious employer firing me for having those views. Because I'm self-employed. So I can talk about it and nobody can do anything about it. As long as I'm not encouraging, you know, harassment, illegal stuff, and I don't do that anyway. So I'm empowered to do that. That's why I have so many, tell me for yourself. Did you subscribe to me because you wanted formulaic teleprompter delivered bullshit, or because you wanted me to talk about what I actually believe in because you happen to agree with some of it or something? Probably the latter. And there are plenty of other people. Lionel Nation does this. Some of the things he believes in are out there, but he's empowered to talk about them. Ramsey Paul, even people who I disagree with on a routine basis, they should still have the right to speak their mind. Sargon, Molyneux, whoever it happens to be. It doesn't matter. It's like some people assume, oh, Stick's fiddling with the alt-right because he talks to Tara McCarthy or something. It's like, I'm going to talk to anybody who may... I'd talk to a communist if they made themselves available. I'm not going to sit there reaming their ass and insulting them if they're inviting me onto some sort of show either. Say, yeah, we probably agree on gay marriage and stuff. Oh, okay, let's shake hands or something. Who cares? They can't do that on cable news. They have to pretend to be outraged without actually acting outraged. It's a problem with like what Kirsten Powers is saying. And as far as Filipovic, white male trolls and stuff, everyone gets harassed online. It doesn't even, they don't even have to talk about politics or religion or anything like that. I watch ASMR videos sometimes. And you wouldn't believe some of the bullshit comments you get. Oh, this is creepy. Oh, it's a form of witchcraft. It's sorcery. It's satanic and stuff. It's ASMR. It's people doing like makeup role play and stuff like that. And people find it weird enough to harass these people. So if you can make, or someone makes like gaming videos, just Minecrafting or something, they get harassed too. It's just how the internet works. And it's better, despite how bad that may sometimes get for certain users, it is better than the alternative. The alternative is that the internet becomes boring and dumb like everything on cable. It becomes inept and stupid and outdated like terrestrial radio. That's the alternative. We need to keep the Wild West net going. Simply because the alternative is 1,000 times worse. Can you imagine if the internet had to operate under the rules of the FCC? Or establishment politicians heavily regulated what content could or could not go on the internet, like they had net neutrality on steroids or something? Can you imagine how boring it would be? Yeah, most of your favorite sites probably wouldn't be there. Or they'd be heavily, heavily censored. Yeah. It'd be wonderful. Everything would be nice at PG-13. You can say goodbye to basically anything on the internet at that point. Even totally innocuous content would probably end up taken off. Either that or you'd have to like pay $1,000 a year to put any content on the internet. You wouldn't have YouTube, you'd have government tube. You wouldn't have Facebook, you'd have GovBook or something like that. You wouldn't have Twitter, you'd have Twatter, because they would be run by the Senate. That's what you would have online. Get used to it. Grow a pair. Grow up. Yeah, like you've never been harassed offline before. Like somebody has never insulted you in person to your face. I'm sure it's happened. It just happens more on the internet because there's anonymity on basically any site you can think of. Yeah, there are people on Facebook and YouTube. They don't use their real identities. I would rather deal with that than suppress their free speech. Because then that's when the bottles start getting thrown and stuff like that. Yeah, there's my thoughts on it. So Kirsten Powers is wrong. People do have a right to be anonymous online. There's nothing CNN is going to do about it. CNN is so powerless at this point, it's laughable. You're getting outcompeted by Fox, and they've been rocked by how many? They just had another sex scandal at Fox, and they're still ahead of CNN. MSNBC, that used to be at the bottom of the heap, they're ahead of you too now. Enjoy! Yeah, Filipovic. Pity me. I'm female and I get trolled. Well, yeah, I'm male and I get trolled, but I don't chalk it up to, oh, all of these man-haters online. No, it's because people harass each other online. Regrettable? Yeah, maybe. Then again, there are certain people that simply deserve to be trolled. Plenty of people troll Bill Cosby's Twitter account. It's funny. Oh, you stuck your pudding pop where it don't belong. It's funny. It's humorous. People get bored. They can actually interact on the internet. It's not like cable. They sit there, they listen to a bunch of people. Oh, I respect you greatly, but I disagree. No, you don't respect them at all. You hate their guts. Can you be honest at least about that part and talk about how you really feel? What you really think about people? No, they do it online. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's another thing. I would not be even remotely surprised if a hell of a lot of mainstream politicians and pundits and businessmen, CEOs, religious figures, I wouldn't be surprised if they go online anonymously too and tell each other to go screw themselves. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. There are probably politicians right now in office, actively, people in the U.S. House and Senate, who have posted stuff on 4chan about their political opponents. I'll bet you anything, 100% it's actually happened. I guarantee you they've made Reddit accounts and done the same thing. I guarantee you they make sock accounts on Facebook to harass one another. I guarantee they troll one another through YouTube and Twitter. Guaranteed. But you're never going to hear about this for the most part because they keep it very hush-hush. Because again, until recently, the conception of reality is president has to be dry and boring. Now we've got someone who's not. Legacy media is honest, and the internet's all lies. We now know it's the exact opposite. People have to be always polite to one another. Now you've got a howling pack of wolves ripping each other apart. Isn't this fucking great? I love it much, much more than watching cable, because it's so, so boring. That's about all. Peace out.